All right. So after yesterday's debacle with the X-68 Punisher, the first shots, I got one shot off. I think it was like 409 feet per second with a, what the heck was I shooting? 8.5 gram smasher, I think. So the feet per second wasn't even that great. But it ended up auto firing like crazy. You can see that on the video if you haven't already seen it. So to correct the auto fire, what I'm going to do here today is I had purchased a few months ago in anticipation of possibly needing a stiffer spring. I had purchased a spring on Amazon here, 60 millimeters, so it's the same length as the factory spring. All the other inside outside dimensions are identical. The only difference is this spring is 1.8. I'm going to measure it to confirm here, but it's 1.8 millimeters thick, the wire, and the factory spring, which I'm going to take out in a moment here, last time I measured it up, I think it was 1.6. So this is a little bit thicker wire gauge, so it should be a stiffer spring. Will it be stiff enough to resolve my auto fire? I don't know, but it's all I have right now to try. So I'm going to give this a try and see if it doesn't resolve the auto fire issue that I was having after introducing the that big expansion tank on the Vulcan car stock expansion tank. And because we definitely got to stop the auto fire thing, so we gotta correct that. So anyways, that's what I'm going to do here. Is let me remove the, let's see, the MCS. What do they call this thing? It's like a safety thing. Like clamps it down so it doesn't move when you unscrew your bottles and your tanks and stuff. So I ended up purchasing this separately because I had one on my with the ASA that came from Mercury Rise, and it was nice because it keeps it from moving. Plus you could actually use it as a tool as well to take this off. But usually I don't have that tight enough where I would really need a tool, or maybe just a set of soft jaw channel locks. Usually is enough. Now I say that now, and now watch. All right, yeah, I think it's turning. I think it's turning here. No, it's not turning. I guess I cranked that bugger down. Well, the other use of this is you can put it on here, and I'm going to put this down because it's getting heavy after a little while. You can put it on the other way and snug it up. And then you're supposed to be able to use it. Wow, I didn't think I had this bloody thing that tight. Well, anyways, it's on there, so at least I'm protecting the finish of the other thing. Actually, let me try these because I really don't want to mar this up. There we go. All right, so it does work. But if you don't want to mar anything up, then you probably need some channel locks that have these soft jaws on it. Those are also available pretty much everywhere, but you can get them on Amazon. That's where I got it. All right. I didn't think I had that thing on that tight, but things have a way of getting tighter on their own, I guess, with O-rings and such. All right. Let's put this thing back down. That should stay in place right there. All right, so we're going to loosen up the back of this MCS ASA, and we're just going to swap out the springs. I'm going to take a look at it too and see if it needs any further lubrication, but should be all right. All right. There is, and you'll notice that I took my bolt O-ring off the tip of the bolt on mine. Seemed to help out a lot when I was shooting 1100 HBA with this. The other configuration that I had, it was helping out quite a bit. I didn't have any further mag drops, so by removing that O-ring and allowing the pressure to bleed off there, for lack of a better terminology. All right, so this is the factory spring, and you can, I mean, just you can see the difference. This is quite a bit beefier, and I do believe I measured this one here, the factory one, to be like 1.6, I think it was, but let's measure it again here. Yeah, 1.6. 1.61 millimeters. All right, so that's the wire gauge on here. The length, I do believe it's 60. Yeah, 60 inches. And then what I'm going to be replacing it with is 60 inches as well. Okay. All right, I think I got like, what's the outside diameter on this? I think it was like, memory serves me, I think it was 22 or something. Yeah, 22 OD on this spring, which was basically, it was this, I measured the factory spring and I just kind of duplicated it, except I went with a thicker wire, a little bit thicker. All right. Yeah, this one's 22 as well. It's just reading, I'm not grabbing it right, but they're essentially both like 22 millimeters OD, and the inside diameter was pretty much the same too. 18, I think, was the inside. That's the factory. This is the replacement spring. 18, so 18, 22. Okay, so if you're looking to buy one on, you know, I mean, there's plenty of people. Did I measure this? All right, this is the replacement spring. Did I measure the length on that one? Yeah, 60. Okay. Yeah, so there's plenty of people out there that, for, I think it's like, I don't know, like under 20 bucks, you can buy one of these from a place like AR Tactical. They sell one. I believe it's probably the same deal. It's like 50 millimeters. It's 10 millimeters shorter. I'm not sure about his springs, what the wire size is on it. If it's the same factory wire size, it's just 10 millimeters shorter, or if it's like the 50 millimeter spring that I got, where it was also thicker, a little bit thicker wire size, but it was also like 50 millimeter. So, all right. So factory and aftermarket. So I think I paid like, I don't know, I got like a bag of like five of these springs on Amazon for like, what was it, like 15 bucks or something. It was less than $20, so it's not an expensive thing to try. Usually, unless you're going with a thicker, you know, a stiffer spring, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Unless you go for a stiffer spring, like in my case, because you're trying to correct an auto fire condition, a lot of guys will go with the shorter spring. It's not stiffer, it's just shorter. And it basically just kind of, it moves your power numbers around, or what you call the power band around a little bit. And, you know, maybe might help out with consistency. So instead of having that hot shot that you get in the beginning, you know, maybe it just moves it around and makes your numbers a little more consistent. That's what I found anyways. When I installed the 50 millimeter what I'm calling a tuning spring. When I installed it in the Intrabuster Gen 2, it did indeed do that. You know, my hot shot got kind of moved down a little bit, or somewhere around the third shot was a little bit stronger, but it also made my finishing shots stronger than they had been. So it doesn't give you any magic power, any magic energy, or like make the gun more powerful. It just kind of moves that power band around a little bit, is the way I understand it. At least that's the way it was explained to me by Sean at Less Lethal for Dummies. That's how he explained it to me. So, which it makes sense. And then once you replace it, you can actually see that happen, right? You can see that power does shift, and it becomes more consistent across the spread. You know, the spread of 6 shots, or for example, a magazine. But anyways, today what I'm doing is totally different. And, you know, maybe you don't want that. You know, maybe you want that hot shot in the beginning, and you're okay with that because you want to lead with your best hand, right? You want to lead with your most powerful shot. I hope you are a good shot and you're on target if you do. But some people, they like it to be a little bit more consistent across the spread of six shots, right? So that's what that's for. But today, what I'm doing here is I'm hoping that the difference between, oh, did I measure that? I don't think I did I? Yeah, I did. I did measure it, but I'm going to measure it again anyways, just for the hell of it right here. Yeah, so I'm hoping the difference between the 1.6 millimeter wire and the stiffer spring with the 1.8 millimeter wire, I'm hoping that's enough to correct the auto fire condition that I'm seeing with my gun. So we're going to swap it out, and we're going to see. Now, you know, am I expecting any gains in power or anything like that, or feet per second? No, not necessarily. I'm hoping that this stiffer spring is going to help it overcome the additional volume of air and pressure and volume of air that is now present at the back of this bolt when you're shooting it. So I got a lot more volume now with that car stock right here, right? So you got this car stock, and this whole area here is an expansion chamber. So now I got all that volume, pressurized volume of air available at the back of this bolt, rather than just a small little section, right, which is normally this cavity here and maybe some of this. Well, now I got that and pretty much the whole length of this. This tube is expansion chamber. So that's a lot of volume of air, and the factory spring, it couldn't handle it. So I'm hoping this one's going to be able to handle it, and I'm not going to get that auto fire problem. The bolt will have enough spring tension to come back, catch the sear, so that it doesn't keep going back and forth like this and not ever catching the sear, right? So this little well here is where the sear would catch into it would catch into the sear. And when it's doing this, it's going on and off of the firing pin, on and off the fire pin, right? And it's making that auto fire condition. It's never coming back far enough because the factory spring ain't strong enough now to do it. So that's the reason why I'm doing this. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody, but I'm hoping this is going to correct my auto fire issue, and it will allow this bolt, after I fire it once, it'll have enough spring tension to come back and catch the sear and lock into place and not keep going, doing these little half strokes. So, all right. Yeah, factory spring, and yeah, I guess it doesn't matter which way I put it on. Yeah, so let's put it together with some proper lubrication. Good vibration with the lubrication. There we go, a little multi-purpose action. Synthetic grease. I love this stuff. This is by Super Lube. Good stuff right here. So we're gonna lube it all up. Let me take a quick look inside there and see what it looks like. See how lubricated it is. Yeah, it's pretty shiny in there. Yeah, we got some lubrication going on in there. Should definitely not dry, but I'm gonna go ahead and just give her a healthy amount of silicone grease here. And then we're gonna reinstall her. I'm gonna put some over here. Definitely on the O-rings. Just put some on the bolt. Get that O-ring right there. I guess I should take this off. Lubricate the 011, right? So we got a 011 right here. Lubricate that up. We got a 021 in the back cap here. And we have another 021 right here. And then inside, I think this is a 014 inside here. Don't quote me on that. I have to look it up. Well, make sure that it's all lubricated. I'm going to set that there for a second. And our bolt bumper. Let's get that all loose. All lubed up. Put that back on the right way. Like that. And let's get some of this excessive grease off my fingers here. Anyways, yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm hoping that this is going to be thick enough. If it doesn't resolve the auto fire, then I'm going to have to get research a even thicker spring. But I mean, this feels substantially stiffer than the factory one, so I'm hoping it's going to resolve at this 1.8 millimeter. So, like I said, time will tell. We'll be testing this again shortly. Let's see if I can get lucky on this thing. I mean, I always have trouble starting these things. Sometimes it's a little easier when you have a rear ASA on here. You got something to push on. But sometimes not so much. All right, yeah. The regular stock rear cap, big pain in the butt. And again, this is a Pistelle X-68, so you do have to pull the trigger on these. At least I always do anyways on mine. Maybe if something gets worn out, I don't know. Just pull the trigger and crank her down. Don't really need to use a tool to tighten it up with. Granted, I had to use a tool to loosen it up, but just go until it's tight. Doesn't need to be crazy tight. Just good hand tight, like that. This way the O-ring seats properly. Everything seats in there, and it's not going to come out on you. Again, with this one, warning: maximum pressure. 1100 psi. What do I got here? Some leftover, I don't know where that came from. That was probably inside the gun. Teflon tape. You find Teflon tape everywhere. If you use Teflon tape like I do, and sometimes it's the only darn thing that will seal these systems when you're building projects like this with builds with external plumbing like I do. Yeah, sometimes the Teflon tape gets throughout the system. Yeah, so right there, 1100 psi. So I'm gonna put this on here. Collar. It's like a collar. I was thinking about what it could be called. I don't remember if that's exactly what MCS calls it, but I'm gonna call it a collar. Acts like a collar. A locking collar. How's that? Locking collar. All right. And these two, I'm sure there's probably a torque spec or something for these, maybe. Not that I've seen of least not from MCS. I don't think they suggest a torque on here, but I just go good and tight, right? Just good and tight. That's going to keep it from backing out because you got the set screws pushing against it, and then you got these little ears here of the collar that go around the Pistelle. So that'll keep it from turning this way. One less thing I got to worry about anyways turning. All right, so the bolt spring has been installed. We got our factory one out. We got our thicker bolt spring. And yeah, hopefully that's going to address the auto fire issue, and then I'll be able to continue testing with this so that I can continue with the build, modifying it. I was just testing out last night on 800 PSI, high pressure air. And yeah, I got that one shot and it was just going crazy with the auto fire. So can't really have that, can you? And then my car stock just spins on here. I can get the thing started. There we go. Yeah. So we got that. What did this thing shift on me? It was straight when I took it off. Well, it's easy enough to tweak that anyways. See if I can get the right. I think it's this one here. No, that's too big. There we go. That's one thing about this car stock that's nice though, is you can got the little set screws. Oop. Butterfingers. Loosen them up a little bit. There's, what, I think 4 of them or so. This one here is the one that's easy to forget about. The one underneath. Oh, I can feel it moving around now. All right. So once you have those set screws loose on this, then you can kind of move it where you want. So once you get it nice and snug, you can line it back up. So I'm going to line this up to the where I want it, which pretty much is there. I don't know why it would have moved on me though. That's weird. I didn't think when I took it off. I've had it off before and usually it doesn't move around on me like that. Not sure exactly what I would have changed. Then you just snug them back. Woo! This, again, Butterfingers. So there's O-rings in here, actually. If you were to loosen this all the way up and to the point where the set screws are lifted out of a channel that they lock into, then you could pull this right off and you'd see there's like 2 O-rings inside there. That's what seals this expansion chamber to the ASA. And it does a good job for the most part. I've never seen a leak. Never seen a leak on this. I like to keep them lubricated really well though. When I take it down, every once in a while I'll pull it down for like some maintenance, and I'll pull it apart and then clean it up, and then I'll put a generous, copious amount of silicone grease in there on the O-rings. Make sure that those don't dry out. And let's see. Don't want to forget about the bottom one. Make sure that's tight. It's easy to forget about this one. And with, like anything else, these set screws, you don't want to crank them down to the point where you strip something out, damage something. All this stuff's aluminum too, so I mean you want to be careful that you don't over tighten it. These O-rings will seal. You don't need to go crazy on it. All right, so that line looks up. That's lined up again. All right. I am going to do one thing to. I don't want this O-ring inside my line to go dry either, so I'm going to put a little bit of silicone lubrication on there, and it's going It's going to be good for that line anyways, because it's going to run through, get into the expansion chamber, ultimately find itself in the gun. So, all right. Okay, so I'm going to pull back on this. Shove her in there. Then I'm going to do what I normally do, which is wrestle with this darn thing, because it's a tight fit. There we go. If you go at the angle and you don't have the right angle of the dangle, she don't want to go. Right, that's good and tight right there. I like to spin it a little bit, make sure it's on there good. Yeah, everything's lined up. Looks good. Yeah. All right, so that is the bolt spring upgrade. Calling it an upgrade. Let's hope it's an upgrade on the X-68 Punisher. So thanks for watching, and next thing I'll do is test this thing out. Stay tuned for a video of a test fire and wish me some luck. You know, wish me some luck that I don't have any new problems either with this build. All right, peace out.